want to welcome you to the Ask Jeff YouTube channel. Here's today's question. In Romans chapter 13, verse 1, it says that God establishes all governing authorities, that we should be subject to Rome. How does this apply to cruel and ungodly leaders? Well, let me approach this question from multiple angles. Most of you that are watching this, come from a perspective, from a background where, at least in the United States of America, we get to, quote, vote our leaders in. And at times, we have leadership that we did not vote for and we're not happy with, but we always know that there's another election around the corner. Let me remind you of the context of Romans chapter 13. The Caesar was in charge. In fact, by the time you get to the end of the Apostle Paul's life, you've got guys like Nero and Titus. These were cruel individuals, very ungodly. So I think it's important to note that when it talks about that all the leadership is there for a reason, orchestrated by God, that we're to be subject to, that doesn't just mean benevolent leaders of whom we choose and whom we like. Remember the context of first century Rome. Now, here's where there's that dividing line. We are subject to them, except what we know in Acts chapter 5, verse 29. It says that it's better to obey God rather than man. And allow me to dissect this for a moment. All through the book of Acts, what we know is the early apostles, they went to prison. They were persecuted. In fact, the Apostle Paul was beaten several times within an inch of his life for only one reason. That was the propagation and the proclamation of the gospel, not a refusal to pay their taxes or not willing to change their time of meetings or services. And the reason I bring that up is I think oftentimes we take second and third layer issues and make them this is not a godly leader. This is when I obey God rather than man. The only issue in the book of Acts where incarceration and persecution took place on was the proclamation of the gospel. So that is why 1 Timothy chapter 2 is so important. It says, pray for all those in leadership, even the ones we didn't vote for, even the ones we don't like, that we might live a quiet and peaceable life. And then you get to verse 5 when it says that Christ Jesus, the mediator to all men. Again, the proclamation of the gospel is the dividing line. And at that point, whatever these ungodly leaders have subjected to us, we must be the recipient therein. Great question. If you have a question, send it to AskJeff.net. Maybe your question will be tomorrow's. Thanks for being a part of today's daily question. Now, we answer a question each and every day. Please feel free to submit a new question at AskJeff.net. We may not have gotten to yours today, but we eventually will continue to be a part of this. Subscribe so you don't miss out on a question every day.